Are you feeling stuck in the daily grind of your agency? You're scaling, you're growing, but somehow you're still the bottleneck. Approving tasks, answering endless Slack messages, and constantly putting out fires. If that sounds familiar, then this video is for you. Trust me, I have been there, as many CEOs have. Growing an agency, or any company for that matter, is no joke, and it is so easy to get stuck in the daily grind. So that's why in today's video, I'm walking you through the exact systems and strategies you need to step out of daily operations and step in to your CEO role. No more 80-hour weeks, no more micromanaging, and at the same time, not wondering if your team is actually doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. There's absolutely a balance. So by the end of this video, you'll know how to audit your role and remove yourself from low-value tasks, build an agency operating system that keeps things running without you, use a project management tool. Today, I'm going to be featuring ClickUp, our favorite, to lead your team without micromanaging. And lastly, set up key dashboards so you can always see what's going on without actually having to ask. So if you're ready to scale your agency without the burnout, make sure to hit that like button and let's dive in. So I know you don't have a lot of extra time on your hands, and for that reason, I'm going to dive right in to the good stuff. And the first step to finally escaping that 50, 60, 70, 80 plus hour work week grind as the CEO. So the very first step to getting out of this place you're in is figuring out where your time is actually being spent. So this piece might feel, maybe to you it might feel a little pointless, but I promise you it's one of the most important aspects of this entire video. So what I want you to do for an entire week, for 5 days straight, or even if you work through the weekends, is do a time audit. Now, what you might expect is that I say in your project management tool or with your time tracker, time track every single thing you're doing. I actually don't recommend that. If you're already in a system of doing that, amazing, keep it up and use that and let's pull a report. But for that means you have to actually have every task created, and it might cause more stress than not. So I've actually come up with this time audit system that's very straightforward. Everything I'm going to show you today is in our favorite project management tool, ClickUp. You can absolutely do this in other tools. So here you're going to see that I have time audit, and I'm going to click into this. So this would span, Monday through Friday, or however many days you're working. And then there's this document attached in here. So in here is where I actually just want you to keep a log of the things that you're doing. So say Monday morning you clock in at 8:30 and you say, I start with managing my inbox. Then at 8:45, I go on to prepping for the team meeting. Then at 9:30, I move on to following up with leads. Then at 10:45, I start working on client work, etc., right? So you're going through, you can even put like 8:30 to 8:40. You also want to see where there's like gaps in there, 8:45 to 9:15. Then I want you to literally log everything, okay? So then if 9:15 to 9:30, you scrolled on IG, right? Now, I am a huge Pomodoro person where you need breaks. You can't just go from task to task to task to task. You need to have breaks in there. Maybe going from working on your computer to then scrolling on your phone is not the best use of your time. Maybe it's going for a 5-minute walk outside, getting some fresh air, doing some stretches, making yourself a coffee. I highly recommend making that break not on the screen. It's going to be a lot more beneficial for you. So the point is, right, you're going to audit your time for the whole week. At the end of each day or at the end of the week, then what you want to do is you want to actually audit your time. So you want to highlight what's CEO level work, what are tasks you shouldn't be doing, what are tasks that need a system or delegation. So, maybe prepping for the team meeting Is that something you need to do? Yes or no? Maybe here, let me put 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. We'll do like Q3 planning. That's 100% going to be CEO work, right? So I want you to actually highlight that entire row. Working on client work, that's not something that you need to be doing. So this either needs to be delegated and needs a system, or you need to get rid of it altogether. So let's say this we want to delegate, and then, managing your inbox, that's something that you shouldn't be doing. It's admin work. So let's delegate that to your executive assistant immediately. So I want you to then color code and see, okay, how many things should I be doing? Eventually you want to get just to mainly the green, right? Of course, every single person is going to have to do some level of admin, but we want to make sure that your time as a CEO is so precious that it is being spent so wisely. So you're going to go through, you're going to color code, you're going to say, okay, is there anything that I need to cut out? Is there anything I need to delegate? Or what are the things that I need to keep on my plate? So then you're going to say, okay, what are the next steps for this thing? I don't want you to just recognize them and then move on. I want you to actually be like, okay, I'm going to delegate this to my EA. Working on client work. Schedule a meeting with PM to optimize this system and delegate. Okay, so you're going to put these specific next steps. If you want to take it a step further, you can even say deadline and put a deadline in there for yourself and say, I want to get this done by Friday. I want to get this done next week, etc. So you're going to see very, very clearly, where is your time going? How much time are you spending on different things? Take a screenshot of this, download it as a PDF and upload it to ChatGPT and say, what percentage am I working on each category? Where do you see steps for improvement? How can I create these systems to XYZ? I'm struggling to, get out of inbox management. What are steps to delegate this to my executive assistant? So don't feel like you are on your own here and need to figure out every single thing. Number one, use AI. Love, love, love AI. Number two, use your team and their brain power to help you take these things off your plate. So that is the piece of the time audit. I want you to do that for 5 to 7 days. Take the time that you need to do this truly, and it's going to pay off tenfold. After you audit your time, you see what are the things where you're stuck in the weeds, what are the things you have to take off your plate, what are the things that you have to continue doing as the CEO. Step number 2 is building a scalable agency operating system. So there are 4 core elements to this. The first one is defining roles and responsibilities. The team should not be, doing a little bit of everything. Everyone should be in their specific role. Of course, you are going to have crossover. You're going to have collaboration. But when the team knows exactly what they need to be working on, it's going to be so much clearer and efficiency is going to skyrocket. So there are many different ways that you can do this in ClickUp, your project management tool. But I want to just go through a couple quick examples. Some best practices when it comes to ClickUp and project management tool management is every single task in your workspace should have an assignee and it should have a due date. Unless it's like a database or like a brain dump list, when you're assigning something to a team member, so say it's either in their team task list or it's in a operational task list or it's in a marketing platform, for example, Instagram, every single task should have an assignee and a due date, and it should be delegated to the next person in line. Not only should every single task have an assignee and due date, but then you want to make sure you're setting your team up for success and having a place where each of them can see what they have to do and they don't feel like they have to figure it out and click into all these different spaces. So that's where I highly recommend every single person has a team member dashboard. Here's a quick example where you can see the filters on here. The assignee is going to be that specific person. Then they can see what's due to me today. Open this up and then just crank through their list, right? All throughout the workspace, what are the things that they're working on? Having time reporting, how much time have they tracked, how much is estimated, what is overdue that they need to take care of, what's coming up this week, and then seeing their calendar as well. So defining those roles, those responsibilities. Another key part to this is having a great org chart. So if I come into our team management bundle, now note so many of the things I'm showing you here we have templates for in our template shop. They're also all in our ClickUp template vault. But make sure that you have an up-to-date org chart. Here you can see we use ClickUp whiteboards here to map this out. And this is going to be absolutely crucial for making sure that every single person knows what their responsibility is. And then you're able to see, is someone on this chart, is their face too much over all different things? What is their capacity looking like? So we'll get into capacity tracking later on in this video as well. But defining roles and responsibilities is step number 1 to building a scalable operating system. Part number 2 to building a scalable agency operating system is making sure your workflows are standardized. Whether it's onboarding a new client, executing a project, wrapping up a contract, your social media workflow, every key process needs to be documented and followed consistently. So I want to show you a couple examples of what this could look like. First, this is our free project management template. Actually, some of these templates that you're looking at, we do have for free in our shop, where say you have a project from start to finish that's grouped by phases, has a start date and an end date. You need to have every single step possible in that project mapped out. Now, this doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. Every single project is going to have its own set of things thrown in their tasks, nuances, but having a structure and a starting off point is going to be absolutely crucial. So here you can see an example, phase 1 through 4, from project prep to planning, resourcing, execution, project wrap up. Make sure that tasks are documented, assignees, due dates, statuses, so you can see where everything is within the project, priorities, etc. That's an example of, a workflow for project management. What about a workflow for something that's more of like an ongoing pipeline, like client management or marketing, for example? Then you can have a specific list for this where it's grouped by status instead of phase. So what are the different statuses that a client deliverable can go through? And when it hits that status, who's responsible for the next step? Making sure that not only are you standardizing your workflows, but you're also automating them. For example, let me go into here. If something goes into the automations, if something goes to the status internal review, it's going to reassign Jeff and I, change the due date to the trigger date, and be like, hey, Christy, this ClickUp client task is ready for review. So not only mapping out step by step, what are the phases, what are the statuses, the stages, but who's responsible for what at each stage. And then lastly, you can see when it comes to internal processes as well, like marketing, making sure, I showed you Instagram before, that every single deliverable and piece of content for that platform, what are the phases and the stages, the statuses these tasks and pieces of content will go through. When it goes into ready to create, that's going to assign our designer. When it goes to ready for review, it's going to assign me. When it's ready to schedule, it's going to be my EA. The list goes on. Making sure that you have your processes mapped out, standardized, and automated is key. Step 2 out of 4, when it comes to creating this scalable agency operating system, is having a meeting cadence and meeting agendas and reports. So in our team meeting template, you can see that you want to make sure that you have a place to not only store the upcoming meetings, but also the agendas and the agenda templates. So you're ready, the team knows where to go to create these templates. If you have to review previous agendas, create action items, etc., every single thing is in one place. So having something just as simple as this, you can see this looks a lot more simple than our project management template, our Instagram template, just having a place to store that meeting and that due date, and then store those meeting agendas as well. Having this super streamlined and clean is going to be key. Now, I'm going through this video kind of quick. I'm not diving deep into each one of these points. I want to really give the visual, but we do have different videos on our channel, like going through, meeting management and going through project management and client management, etc. So make sure you check out our channel, make sure to subscribe because we go deep into these topics often. Okay, so that's just a quick example of having a place to store your meeting management, your agendas, your action items. And then lastly, element number 4 that you need for a scalable agency operating system is a centralized knowledge hub. Where better to have it than our favorite project management tool, ClickUp? And how you can have this is, like an example, the SOP library template, also a free template in our shop. And where here you can have just a great database of all of the different things that you do across your agency. If you have a larger agency, I would recommend having an SOP library per department. And then you can break this down into deeper categories. Like if you had a client management department, then you can break it down by the categories: client onboarding, client fulfillment, client offboarding, client FAQs, and client management, etc. And here you can either have a written SOP in depth, you can create a video, you can link help articles, but having a place for your team to go to access all of the training materials for your team is going to be absolutely key. Make sure this is up to date. Make sure every SOP has an owner so they know who's responsible for updating this. And then also you can link these SOPs directly in the tasks in ClickUp themselves. Like for example, if in Instagram, once it goes to ready to schedule, then it could populate the SOP in there for how to schedule something in later, or Facebook Business Suite, etc. So make sure you have a centralized place to store your knowledge hub, your SOPs. We love using ClickUp. I hope this example was helpful. All right, we are moving and grooving. Step number 3 to getting out of this 80-hour a week work week grind is having dashboards and reports that you should be checking weekly. Now, either there should be someone on your team that's preparing these reports if they're coming from another software, or even better, you could be utilizing your project management tool and using things like ClickUp dashboards to automatically bring in this data. So here are 4 key reports that you should be checking on weekly. Number 1 is your sales and pipeline report, right? You want to make sure that number 1, here's your leads pipeline. You're seeing how many new leads are in the pipeline, how many outstanding proposals, how many people have booked. You can see month over month where our lead source is coming from. This is crucial data, not only to have front of mind who are the people that I need to nurture, let's not forget about them, but then also to see this data and be like, okay, how can we strategize if most of our referrals and our lead sources are coming from YouTube? Let's make sure that we're optimizing our YouTube strategy and making even more people convert. Maybe we're using another platform that has no lead conversion, and maybe that's not worth our time anymore. Very important things to be tracking. Then not only do you want to see, the leads and different projects, but then also where the sales are coming in from. So with our sales tracker template, you can then pull that dashboard in to see where are you at for this month's gross sales, net sales this year, all-time revenue, sales by category and offer, sales by month. So in this tracker in our template shop, this is actually one of my favorite templates that we use for our company. This is actually all automated through an integration tool called Zapier. So this is where we took it to the next level. And we're like, I just want to see a report of all of the sales, click of a button, year to date, month to date, week to date, and bring that data in. And so we took a tool like Zapier and we connected our payment processors, because we have a bunch of them, and we linked it to ClickUp to bring in this database to say, okay, where are sales coming in from? Let's bring in the gross and net, the month, etc. And then we have this real-time dashboard and we don't have to do a thing. We just click it and can review it whenever we want. So that is sales and pipeline report. Absolutely crucial to know where your leads are coming from, how many sales you're making month over month, year over year, etc. Then let's talk about management. So project status overviews. Which client projects are on track? What needs your attention? How are internal initiatives going? So that's where you can have something like a COO or manager dashboard. Now, about this as well, we have an entire video going through the 7 essential dashboards every agency needs, where I dive deeper into each of these. So again, if you want a deeper dive, that video is there. Make sure to subscribe to our channel because we're constantly having new updates. So in the COO manager dashboard, you can be like, okay, how are the tasks split? Wow, Christy and Jeff have a lot of bulk of the work. We definitely need to, divvy up the tasks. What's overdue? What about the projects? You can see that you can have things like in progress, at risk. What's the progress of this project? Having different key, KPIs on this dashboard as well. How about total time and status? Why are there things staying in to do for too long? Where are they getting stuck, etc.? So having a dashboard where you can see the project status overview, whether it's for your agency as a whole or you have a dashboard specifically just for that project. Okay, so that's project status overview. Next, moving on to team capacity report. So this one is actually not a dashboard itself, but instead a ClickUp view. On the everything level, we love to create a workload view. So if you click on add and you click workload, if you're using time estimates, which I highly recommend, you can then see the workload of every single person on your team, right? So this just shows me, this is my templated ClickUp, but you can see, okay, Monday I'm almost at capacity. The rest of the days I'm looking pretty good. And then you can set the different capacity for each person and for each day of the week. Once those items get to capacity, then it's going to show red. Or if it's at capacity, it's going to show orange. So using something like workload view is going to be amazing for having this team capacity report. And then lastly, tracking profitability. So different profitability per your project, per your agency as a whole. You can use things like different custom fields financially and dashboards and stuff like that, but I want to showcase our yearly profit first tracker. So I hope this video shows you how powerful ClickUp can be and how you can use it for so many different things across your company. So for this was a process where we started implementing profit first in our company 2 to 3 years ago, completely changed the way we did business banking. But immediately after I read the book, I said, okay, now how are we going to put this into action? How are we going to make this a clear and repeatable process? And so we created this tracker in ClickUp that all we have to do 2 to 3 times a month is come into our bank, put what was our income, and then it's automatically going to split up, okay, here are the percentage allocations that you then have to put into your different bank accounts. So profit, owner's pay, taxes, etc. I know there are some really cool softwares coming out as well that can also split this up and do this automatically. When something comes into your account, it can then split into your other accounts, which is really, really cool. That's something we're also going to look into because we want to automate as much as possible. So that is something that's absolutely key is, yes, have a system for reporting, but is there any way to pull these reports automatically and create these processes automatically so you can do the least amount of manual work as possible? All right, and moving on to the last step in getting out of this 80-hour-a-week grind is making sure that you are managing your team well without micromanaging. So ClickUp isn't just a task management tool. We want it to be the control center for your agency when it's set up correctly. So the key is to set it up in a way that gives you visibility without dragging you into the day-to-day operations, right? We also don't want you to have to be asking your team members constantly, hey, give me an update on this, what's going on with this. You want to know when you delegate something out to your team that it's going to be done well, and it's going to be done on time. So that's where having dashboards like, the team member dashboard, the manager dashboard, having these set up is going to be key. So you're just able to click in here and just see what's overdue, what needs my attention, instead of being bombarded with important information and useless information at the same time. Next is you want to make sure you're automating status updates, right? So having team members update their progress inside of ClickUp, making sure that things aren't drowning in spreadsheets and Slack and things like that. Doing things like automating workflows, like I mentioned, for, whether it's content or client deliverables. When they're hitting different statuses, we want each person to do their job, change the status, and then it automatically moves on to who's next. Third is creating those standardized workflows. So like we mentioned, whether it's internal processes, whether it's client deliverables, whether it's, campaigns and initiatives you're doing, we don't want to have to answer anymore what's next on every project. Every team member should know what they need to do. You should be able to find the information that you need, as well as clients being able to have that visibility as well. And then lastly is assigning team responsibilities. So if everything defaults to you, your team truly isn't accountable. So you want to make sure you're removing yourself as the bottleneck. You're removing yourself from, having to manage all these things, and you're giving your team autonomy and you're giving them empowerment to be able to do these things. So not only giving them and empowering them to be able to do their job and do it well, but then you have this system to actually track, are they doing these things well? So that is everything I have for you today. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it's encouraging to you, and you have hope that when you set up these systems, you'll be able to get out of this grind and this hustle that you're currently in. It definitely is work to set this up. So whether you want support with our templates or you're ready to invest in a custom build solution, it's a million times worth either investing money or time to set these things up. It will pay off tenfold in the long run. So hope this was helpful. Excited for you to implement everything we went through. And that is how you can scale your agency without the 80-hour work week grind. It's actually possible, I promise you. When you have the right systems in place in your company, you're not just running a business, you're leading it. So if you're looking for a done-for-you ClickUp setup that removes you from the daily operations, feel free to book a consult call with the link in the description. And if you're looking for a plug-and-play system, we have an entire ClickUp template vault with over 50 plus plug-and-play templates that will give you an agency operating system in the click of a button. I'll also make sure it's linked in the description below. And let me know in the comments, what is one thing that you're going to delegate and offload from your plate first? Last thing, if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on any systems, tips, and tricks. Also, feel free to share this video with any team members or other agency owners that could benefit from it. With that, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.